WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got Jordan Kitchens, Paul O'Neill back there on the ones and twos, working towards the weekend. Glad you're hanging out with us. If you've gotten to the finish line for the work week, congratulations. Start enjoying it. If not, we'll get you to that finish line. Got a lot to get to over the course of the next couple of hours. We'll chat with Preston Guy at TigerBait.com on LSU football in 15 minutes. An LSU summer baseball update coming up. Sam Burns goes real low today over in England. Our in-depth chart series at the top of hour number 2 that's going to take us to the defensive side of the ball today. We'll talk defensive tackles. And I wanted to check in with Faxon Childress. He's with the Roar in upstate South Carolina. Dabo Sweeney did the car wash over at ACC Kickoff. Their version of Media Day is yesterday. Faxon Station was there on site. So just kind of wanted to check in on Clemson. We'll do that at 2:15. And then there's a game we're going to play. There's a story on Yahoo Sports. Is your school a football school or a basketball school? But it goes further than that. It encapsulates every single sport. I've got my guess for all 16 SEC teams. I'm going to grade myself. I haven't looked at the story. Jordan's going to see how we do. We'll do that to kind of finish off the week here at 2:30. So plenty to get to. Let's start like we do every day with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
LSU announced 4 non-conference football games today that will take place between 2027, which is obviously next season, and 2030. And there are a couple of reasons why I find these games to be interesting, and a couple of reasons I find them to be uninteresting. But let's get to them. First, what are the games? Well, it'll start next year with Northwestern State on August the 28th. The following year, it'll be ULM on August the 26th. 1 week later, it'll be Southern in 2028 as well on September 9th, and then Tulane on August 31st of 2030. So let's take them in order and talk about why I find these interesting, because there's really nothing interesting about LSU playing Northwestern State in football, which will happen to start next season. LSU will beat Northwestern State by 50 points. The game probably shouldn't be played. FCS versus SEC is a complete and total mismatch, and it will be when they play next year. However, the interesting aspect to that is that August 28th is a week before Labor Day. August 28th is week 0. And LSU will play week 0, and you're going, well, don't they have to have like a waiver for that? Well, you have in the past. You either had to have a Hawaii game or an international game, or you had to have some sort of significant issue to apply for a waiver to play in week 0. That's gone. The NCAA has taken that provision out. It was part of the 5-for-5 litigation that went through this summer. So you can play on week 0 if you want, and LSU is taking advantage of that next year prior to the trip over to Houston to play the Houston Cougars. So instead of opening the season on September the 4th, Labor Day weekend in Houston against Houston, LSU will instead play Northwestern State in Tiger Stadium, where it'll be 1,000 degrees in August. And then for their second game of the season, LSU will go play in NRG Stadium against the Cougars. The following season, LSU will play ULM in week 0 on August the 26th. I will be in shorts hosting the pregame show. You can guarantee it. But ULM, August 26th, that is a week prior to Labor Day weekend when LSU will they will host SMU in Tiger Stadium a week later in the first weekend of September. So LSU is taking advantage of the week 0 opportunities by scheduling a couple of in-state teams, and they'll play week 0. And then after they play SMU. The week following, they will play Southern. And then in 2030, they will play Tulane. I have thoughts on those two games. Playing Southern in the third weekend of the season, I'm just not a big fan of. I talked about the Northwestern State game 3 minutes ago, and I'll talk about this. The last time Southern came to Tiger Stadium, it was 37-0 in the first quarter. It was 51-0 at halftime. That's just not a good use of anyone's time. It's not a good use of anyone's time for LSU to destroy Northwestern State. It's not a good use of anyone's time to play Southern. I understood bringing Southern in the first time. Never played. Cross town. Okay, I celebrated that with Baton Rouge the first time. I'm just not a fan of doing it again. I'm not a fan of playing Northwestern State. I'm not a fan of playing McNeese. I'm not a fan of playing Nichols. I'm not a fan of playing any of these FCS teams in Tiger Stadium. I just think it's a waste of a weekend. It's dangerous for the teams with less scholarship players. We have heard FCS coaches come on this radio station and talk to Matt Moscona on After a Further Review and say, yeah, it's not ideal, but they need the check. They need the check to balance the books athletically. I'm not going to belabor this point, but I just don't like the game. That's the Southern game. Here, the Tulane game in 2030 has some people's attention. And I understand why. Tulane was in the college football playoff last year. Now, if Hunt Palmer was CEO of the college football playoff, the college football world, Tulane would never be in the playoff. They wouldn't have been in it last year. I think it's laughable. I'm not the CEO. The rules are, if you're the highest ranking group of 5, you get in. So Tulane was the highest ranking group of 5. They got in, and they got destroyed, as everyone on earth knew they would. But there are some people that go, this is great. It's a storied rivalry. Bring it back. And that's fine. I have no problem whatsoever with LSU playing Tulane. None. I do not have any intention of dressing this up as some sort of storied rivalry that we have to rekindle. That's absurd. Tulane and LSU are on different planets of the college football world. And there are people in New Orleans that will go, are you serious? Like, Tulane beat a Heisman winner and Caleb Williams. They were in the college football playoff. LSU fired their coach and lost 5 games. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. You can go ahead and frame it that way if you want. Tulane got in the college football playoff because they played Memphis and Rice and UTSA and whoever, and they won their bad conference. That's why they got in. Tulane is in their renaissance period at this point, right? It's fair to say that Tulane, by winning the Cotton Bowl over Caleb Williams, making the college football playoff, like, this is a big era of Tulane football, right? Tulane, in the last 4 years, has played 7 SEC teams. They're 0-7, and the combined final score is an average of 41.5 to 17.5, okay? They were annihilated twice by Ole Miss last year. Yes, beat Kansas State. Yes, beat Duke. Yes, beat Caleb Williams. I'm not suggesting that Tulane is a laughingstock of college football. Tulane's a fine program. They're doing a great job. I think their hire was really poor. Will Hall ran Southern Miss into the ground, and I don't believe he will keep up with Willie Fritz and John Summerall did. But I'm not suggesting that Tulane is a laughingstock. I'm just suggesting I'm not going to sit here and celebrate something that was important in the 1930s, the battle for the Tiger Rag. Tulane bailed on the SEC. LSU's beaten them 18 times in a row. This hasn't been a rivalry since 1981. I'm just not going to pretend like this is some sort of big deal. If they feel like the money staying in state is better than going to play Rice or play in Western Michigan or Western Kentucky or whatever, sure, fine. Like, I'm perfectly fine playing Tulane. I believe by the time LSU plays Tulane in 2030, that Lane Kiffin will have this thing humming in Baton Rouge and that Tulane will probably have fallen off a cliff. That's my contention. I have no evidence to back that up. I just believe that. And I think it's fine to play Tulane. I think it's fine to play ULM. I think it's fine to play Louisiana Tech. I don't like those games. I think that it would be more entertaining if LSU played a power league schedule. But in this instance, where you're trying to win as many games as possible, and you're not in an era where we're ruling out the rental wins, it's fine to play Tulane. But don't ask me to sit here and go, Tulane was in the college football playoff. This is awesome. Like, hey, I'm not going to go there. Tulane, I don't care about Tulane. I don't think LSU and Tulane are significant rivals. It's a fine game to put on the schedule if you have to put one on there. And LSU, I think, will trounce Tulane in 2030, and we'll move on with our lives, and LSU will go play the important games in the Southeastern Conference. So I think this is an interesting day for a couple of reasons. Using the week 0 is interesting. I'm not a fan of playing the FCS games against Northwestern State and Southern, and I don't really care about Tulane. That's my take on this. We all know that if LSU has a pulse, none of these games are going to matter. Even if they don't have a pulse, Northwestern State, ULM, and Southern aren't going to matter. No good LSU team is ever going to be in a competitive contest with these teams. And I think Lane Kiffin's going to field a lot of good LSU teams. So it's just filling out the schedule. We know the 9 SEC games and the 1 Power League non-conference game are what are going to tell the tale of LSU seasons year in and year out under this format. So these are just games to fill in. And if you're going to play a week 0 game, I support that, getting a game under your belt. There was a thought early on, like when UCLA played that week 0 game, that LSU was like, well, they'll have some film on them. That might be an advantage for LSU, and found out, no, probably wasn't. Probably an advantage to go out there and play a game and get your operation underway as opposed to going out there blind, which is kind of what LSU did against UCLA, and they got crushed. So I don't have huge reactions to this. Just relaying the news. Now, what I am curious about is our Southern University grad's opinion on this, as Jordan is a Southern Jag. Do you feel like it's a worthwhile exercise for Southern to play LSU? And don't cower from it, because I don't think it's a worthwhile exercise. You've got a different perspective than I do.
For Southern's aspect, no, but I think the student-wise, because I was in college in 2022 when LSU did play Southern. It definitely did bring Baton Rouge together. The tailgate was one of the best things I've ever been to in my life. Now, I will say, before I even sat down with my food, the score was like 30-0. I swear to God, like it happened. Like I sat down and I looked up and then I was like, damn, they got 30 points already. So
Baskerville had a pick 6.
Yeah, it was quick. It happened very fast. It happened extremely fast. But like on field play wise, they're in 2 different realms. Like they're playing 2 different. They're not even playing the same football, for being honest. So I get that aspect of it. But like if they're talking of it, bringing money to the community and bringing Southern and LSU together, then yeah, like I feel like it did its job in 2022, and I think it'll do that in 2028.
Let's try to get out in front of the parking situation if we possibly can. There's a bit of an issue. That's the only time this will be my 10th year doing pregame, that I thought there was a possibility I might miss the show. I thought I might not get there in time. My guy Big Fave has been running up against it fairly frequently at times. I thought I texted Chris. I remember going, I might have to leave my car, get out and walk, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not. And I leave real early. I get there early. I'm up in the Sports Properties tailgate watching games. I'm there like an hour and a half early. From my house, which at that time was 1.5 miles from Tiger Stadium. From my house, it was probably 2 miles from Tiger Stadium. It was an hour 15, hour 20, and I usually allot for like 30 minutes.
We walked. We had to walk. So I 100% get what you're talking about.
It was a tough scene in that day trying to get onto campus. We're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Come back with Preston Guy at TigerBait.com next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux'Electrical.com. Neil and Melissa have been running the show for 40 years. Their son Justin, now a big part of the operation over there at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. The key is that you want to work with local people. This is something that is important because you want that generator to be functioning when you need it, right? So Boudreaux's Electrical, after the installation of that Generac home standby generator, will be able to monitor that generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to make sure it's up and running. They'll run tests on it. If they determine, you might not even know, they determine there's some sort of mechanical issue, they'll send a local team out to fix it so that if and when you need that generator to spring your power to life, it's ready to go. That's the local difference. You can buy a Generac home standby generator from the big box stores. Absolutely. No question. Are you going to get the customer service that you get from the local company? The answer is no. Boudreaux's Electrical Services will bring you that. Give them a call. They've got the same number they've had for 40 years. 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Or you can call the Gonzales location, 225-300-9389. I'll give you the easy way every day. That's Boudreaux'Electrical.com.
You're listening to The Hun Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is always brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Stop by and see them on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Entire menu online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Preston Guy's with us every single Friday talking Tiger football. He's with tigerbait.com. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how we doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. I just went through the schedule deal on my end. 4 games announced. I think the interesting aspects of it are the 2-week 0 games before Houston and SMU, as well as the return of Southern and Northwestern State from the FCS, and then Tulane in 2030. What stands out to you about that announcement, if anything?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the week 0 thing. First off, I love the scheduling. Obviously, you're going to have to change your formula with 9 SEC games, right? And a big part of that is going to be, hey, are you still going to be able to play your local Louisiana teams? And in my opinion, I think you should be playing 2 of them per year, right? So I've always thought you should have 1 marquee home and home series. I'm not talking about neutral site, like Jerry World or whatever. Like, let's go to, let's go to USC. Let's, go to, Texas or UCLA, do a home and home. And then you should have your Louisiana teams. It's good for your economy, good for those schools, all that jazz, right? So I love this. And I've also talked about, particularly as LSU was getting skull-dragged by Florida State and, that series. I think a week 0 game is just objectively a smarter way to schedule.
Yeah.
You can always back up your fall camp, right? It's not like you get less practicing for one of these week 0 games. You still get your 15 fall camp practices. You're just as prepared in week 0 as you would be for week 1, right? So use that week 0 game. I like scheduling a group of 5 school for that week. It gives you a chance to work out the kinks instead of, going up against major Power 5 out of conference foe, and really, get your team kind of established. So I look at that as an advantage, and it gives you an extra bye week down the road. If you think about it, not playing week 0 means you're giving a bye week to the front of your season, right? Which does nothing, right? Use that week off during the season when your team is beat up and beat down and, hey, look, this guy really got his bell rung, but he's going to get a rest next week, right? That you're not really dealing with that from fall camp injuries. You don't really you control those, right? So you really need it during the season. So for a lot of reasons, I really like what they announced today.
Nobody knows what's going to be going on in 2030, but does Tulane do anything for you at all as on the schedule?
Yeah, no, I like playing that matchup. It used to be a huge rivalry. Of course, Tulane is now, kind of as a program positioning itself better. In fact, there's a decent chance that, who knows, maybe Tulane has worked its way into the Big 12 or something by then, right? And all of a sudden it's not a group of 5 matchup anymore. I think you should play all of the teams in your state, and you should rotate 2 of them a year. And Tulane is certainly one of those teams you want to play, no doubt.
Preston Guys with us, tigerbait.com. There's an LSU aspect to next week with Media Days, but if you kind of remove that and just as a college football fan, which I know you certainly are, does that do anything for you, just 4 days of guys talking football, of coaches taking the mic, of players making their rounds, or is it just kind of something to fill a week?
Well, Hunt, here's the thing. My favorite thing in this world that I can talk about on radio is watching football. And my second favorite thing is talking about football. So if there's no football games being played, then yes, I would love to watch all the SEC coaches and players talk about football. So I dig it. I don't necessarily take much away from it, right? Because, it's all PR talk, but it's still interesting. You can still learn a little bit about the teams and players and, agendas and attitudes from it, right?
For sure. Look, it's I often find that the talking heads like us have more interesting things to say oftentimes than the coaches and players who have been trained for 3 weeks on every PR answer they can possibly give. Sometimes they break contain. Bielema or Spurrier or Les or somebody would break contain and say something interesting, but sometimes it doesn't. Like Kirby won't say anything interesting when he gets to the podium. But is there a team or a player or a coach that you'd like to learn a little more about or you're more interested in next week?
I don't know if you've listened to every press conference Lane Kiffin's ever done, but eventually he goes off script.
Yeah.
You're going to get some pretty golden nuggets here, especially, I think what's funny for Lane Kiffin, probably for the first time since Twitter.com graced the surface of the earth, we don't know exactly what he's thinking and saying on a day-to-day basis, right? So back to the olden days of November 2025 when we didn't know. We didn't get to hear from the LSU head football coach every day. So it'll be nice to, hear from him for the first time in a long time, other than a few podcast appearances.
Any part of you that wishes Sam Levitt was making the trip, or that's not important to you either?
Is it important? No. Did it catch me off guard? Yes. I don't know that I definitely want to hear Lane Kiffin's reasoning for it. My guess would be is that they just don't want to throw the guy out there to ask 1,000 questions about his injury status. They might look at that as a bit of a competitive advantage that, they know how healthy he is and the rest of the country doesn't. So let's just, table that as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy question to answer considering the fact that everything we've heard suggests he's really healthy, and you just kind of answer that a couple of times, and you can make it pretty quick. I've talked about it. I'm not offended in any way that he's not coming. Selfishly,
Right.
from a professional perspective, I'd love to hear from him because we haven't yet, but that'll come in time, and he'll talk the first week of fall camp. I'm confident, and we'll hear from him then. As far as the guys they are bringing, Daugherty, Weeks, and Tradez, what are your thoughts on those guys?
TJ Daugherty caught me a little off guard. That being said, we are talking about a veteran player who has played under Kiffin for many years. So it didn't really catch me off guard. I'm glad they put Tradez out there, and they're kind of acknowledging him, as I think everybody's got their eyes on him as possibly the most talented offensive threat on this team. And I think Whit Weeks was the no-brainer there, right? I think he'll also be the no-brainer for the number 18. I think it's a very high likelihood that we're talking about number 18 and number 7 taking the podium for LSU with Weeks and Tradez Green.
Very possible. Last one, Preston. Again, we appreciate your time. How do you feel? And speaking of things that really don't matter, but I'm curious your thoughts. How do you feel the media will rate LSU when the dust settles in Tampa next week?
Yeah, I was looking at it the other day, and I think the lowest I could understand LSU being rated in the SEC is around 6. There's teams that I certainly understand putting above LSU. Ole Miss, okay, sure, right? Georgia, I get it. Alabama, Texas, even Texas A&M, right? Below 6, you start to get to some teams like South Carolina, really? Huh? I do think LSU's going to come in either 5th or 6th from the SEC. That's my best guess.
We shall certainly see. Preston, we'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
All right, talk to you soon. Thank you.
He's Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every single Friday here. Want to remind you, my friends at Lifetime Roofing, they're online at LifetimeRoofingLA.com. That's LifetimeRoofingLA.com. If you feel like you're not confident in your roof as storm season's upon us, it's a little bit older, or maybe you feel like you've seen some damage or you've had some leakage, and you're just not sure, and don't want to climb up there, have the folks at Lifetime Roofing come up there and do it. They'll come out. They'll jump up on the roof. If you need just a repair, they'll do that. If you do need a new roof, they can do that, and they can do it with a lifetime workmanship warranty. And it'll be a local company that you're working with that'll be here, that feels like they are in business to serve the people of South Louisiana. They can actually serve you anywhere in Louisiana and over in Houston as well. So call them up. Don't take a chance as storm season's upon us that your roof is faulty. Maybe you just need a tune-up to fortify that roof as storm season's here. Go to LifetimeRoofingLA.com and go with the company that's got 0% financing for 18 months as well as a lifetime workmanship warranty. That's, of course, Lifetime Roofing. They're online at LifetimeRoofingLA.com. That's something that I haven't given a lot of thought to, is where the media members will rank LSU, and I realize that that's not important, but I do find it interesting. We're at a time in the calendar where there are no results. There are no practices. There are no games being played. There are no plays to break down. It's all conjecture, and that's the interesting part of the summer. If you want to leave that completely behind, I got no problem with that. Go to the lake. Go to the beach. Play golf. Sit in the air conditioning. Watch the golf tournament. Hit the grill. Go fishing. I'm fully with you. But I also know that you right now are listening to Sports Talk Radio in July. So you are at least tuned in a little bit. And to me, who's tuned in all the time because it's the professional gig, I am curious what people will think of LSU. Again, it doesn't matter. People thought a lot of LSU last year. Team stunk. But it's just interesting. What pack of teams do you put them in? Certainly LSU's not going to be in a pack with Georgia. And I think people will like Texas better than LSU, although their schedule's tougher this year. And then you get into that group where you got Ole Miss and A&M that were better than LSU last year. And then you kind of drop down a rung where I think you got Oklahoma and Bama, who were playoff teams last year that had their coaches, and Oklahoma's got their quarterback back. Bama's, got to step up. And then you dip down to the Tennessees and Missouris, and that's kind of the realm LSU was in last year. What do they think this year? I'm curious about it, and we'll certainly see as we get there next week for SEC Media Days. But we talked about the LSU schedule at the top of the show. If you're looking for LSU football content, you can find it at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcasts, and certainly over at LouisianaSports.net. Top of the show, we talked about that. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. I found the update. I don't follow the summer baseball day to day, but I do on Fridays, and I checked it out earlier. I'm very encouraged by what I'm seeing on Cape Cod right now, and I'll tell you what's going on up there. Jay Johnson was there this week as we talked to him yesterday. Get you updated on what's going on up there with the LSU transfers that are playing, and two of them are All-Stars. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, online at FabryChevrolet.com. That is FabryChevrolet.com. They've got some awesome deals right now through the end of July and to August 3rd. If you're looking for a GMC Sierra, a 2026 Denali, you can get employee pricing. You can get up to $8,000 off of select Denali. So get on by and see them. Chevy's also offering 0% APR financing for 5 years on the 2026 Silverado 1500s, plus no monthly payments for 90 days now until August 3rd. So you pick up a 2026 Silverado 1500, you won't pay for 3 months. That's an incredible deal over at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. So if you're looking for that new SUV, go to St. Francisville on Highway 61 and check it out. You can also check out the inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
We'll go to upstate South Carolina to talk to Fax and Childress coming up in 45 minutes. It was ACC kickoff this week. Dabo Sweeney was in front of the microphone. I thought had some interesting things to say and mentioned a potential competition at quarterback. We kind of thought that Vizina would be the guy. He's been the heir apparent. He's been there for a couple of years. There's a true freshman making a bit of a push there. So we'll talk to Fax and Childress about what's going on with Clemson football as LSU and Clemson will kick off this season. Just a few weeks in 2026 from Tiger Stadium, so looking forward to that conversation. I think it sounds like I'm going to reciprocate that conversation on their airwaves, upstate South Carolina, next week from Tampa. So we're inching that way. We'll talk some football in hour number 2. I want to remind you about friends at Highland Insurance Group, Jonathan Carbo and the Highland Insurance Group online at highlandig.com. That's highlandig.com. They're doing a lot of work right now on the benefits side of things. They do property and casualty insurance, absolutely. So if you need help with that, the Howard Insurance Group can help you with that. But Jonathan Carbo and his team do a ton of benefits. If you are hurting based on your renewals in the benefits world with your health insurance, your vision, your dental, and you can't attract the employees that you want or retain employees because your benefits are not adequate or your bottom line struggling because it's too expensive, call the Howard Insurance Group. Have a conversation. They have done it with dozens of businesses around the Baton Rouge and South Louisiana areas in trying to help relieve some of that cost. Jonathan's awesome at it. So give him a call. Reach out online at highlandig.com for your group and employee benefits. The Howard Insurance Group, they're online at highlandig.com. All right, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but it is something that interests me this time of year, and especially considering the fact that these are players that haven't played for LSU yet. I've been giving you summer baseball updates the last few Fridays, and Santiago Garcia's been involved. Gavin Guidry's been involved. Those guys went to Cape Cod to get noticed by scouts and get drafted. They did. Santiago Garcia went to Toronto. Gavin Guidry taken by the Mets, and those guys will start their professional careers. We also know that Reagan Ricken went up to Cape Cod, made 3 starts. He's done. The 2 freshmen that went out west, and Jack Ruckert and William Patrick, those guys are done for the summer as well. The only guys really playing summer ball for LSU right now are the transfers. Dawson Park, Bino Waters, Jason Wax, and Cade Kurland are all on Cape Cod right now. When we talked to Jay Johnson yesterday, he was up there watching those guys play. And they'll play their All-Star game tomorrow, and Dawson Park and Bino Waters will be on the All-Star team. And I am very encouraged by what Dawson Park has done offensively on Cape Cod. Keep in mind, this is big-time stuff on the mound. These are draftable dudes, some of the best arms in the country, and you're playing with the wooden bat. So it is a pitcher-friendly league on Cape Cod. And Dawson Park, who was about a 300 hitter last year at Texas State, is hitting 286 on Cape Cod. He's 18 for 63. He's stolen 6 bases. He's only got 16 strikeouts, which is a pretty low number for that many ABs. 2 doubles, a triple. He's done a great job offensively hitting 286 in that league, and he's also been completely clean in 41 chances on the left side of the infield. He's made 2 errors at second base, but at shortstop and third, where he has played both positions, he has not made an error in 41 tries. So I think that's a really nice summer thus far for Dawson Park. He's a guy with a lot of variability on where he could be in the lineup. I could absolutely see Dawson Park hitting leadoff for LSU. I would not bet on it at all. I think he's more likely to hit 8th or 9th. But he's a draftable dude who's got a lot of bat speed. He's got some pop in his bat. And if he takes the strides with LSU's approach and in his final college season blossoms into a really good offensive player with his athleticism, I could see him hitting at the top of the order. But he's got to be a better contact and average hitter than he was last year. And you're seeing some of that on Cape Cod, hitting 286. Bino Waters has had a really, really nice Cape Cod summer as well. He is also hitting 286, 26 for 91 on the season. That includes 5 doubles, a homer, 18 RBI. His OPS is 783. He did not have a great week, but one thing that impresses me about Bino Waters, because we think of him as a left-handed hitter, all ACC, hits for some power, really controls the barrel through the zone, sprays the ball to all fields, can draw walks, gets on base, just a really complete hitter. That's the tool they brought him to Baton Rouge for. He's got 7 stolen bases on Cape Cod. Now, that's not, unbelievable, but it is showing it's not like a fluke deal where he, stole 1 base behind somebody on a double steal. 7 steals means you're stealing some bags. And I think that's really good for the athleticism of Bino Waters, who is very much the favorite to play left field for LSU next year. So those two guys are both hitting 286 in a very pitcher-friendly league, and both guys are going to be in the All-Star game tomorrow, which I think is awesome. Jason Wax has not had a great batting average summer, although it has improved the last 2 weeks. He's only hitting 208, but he has drawn walks, 13 of them, and his on-base percentage is 360, which is okay, especially when you consider that it's 150 points higher than his batting average, which means he is getting on base with some regularity. He's also got 6 stolen bases. He's got 3 doubles. So it hasn't been a great summer for Wax, but I do like the approach that he has done a good job of getting on base, and he's running a little bit, and I think he's got a chance to play center field. I checked where he's been playing. He's played 20 games in center. He's also played about 15 games elsewhere, but clearly he's playing center more often, which indicates to me they think that Wax is a center fielder. That means he'll have some competition from Nate Davis and Malachi Washington from the freshman class. But I like Wax, and I think he's doing a good job athletically on Cape Cod. And then Cade Curlin is white hot. He is sizzling. We talked to Jay Johnson yesterday. The Florida transfer hit a homer while Jay Johnson was at his game on Wednesday night. He's up to 260 with his batting average. He got 9 hits over the week. He's up to 260, as I mentioned, 4 doubles, a pair of homers. He's stolen 8 bases, only got 15 strikeouts and 73 at bats, 365 on base percentage. Curlin's got a pretty high floor. He's been an SEC starter for 3 years, so you know what you're going to get from that perspective. But really for 4 years, but he missed a lot of it for injury. But really a nice summer with a 260 batting average and a 365 on base with a lot of stolen bases. And oh, by the way, Cade Curlin defensively, 67 chances at second base, no errors. Defense was such a problem for LSU on the infield early in 2026. And to have Dawson Park be perfect on the left side of the infield at shortstop and third, and Cade Curlin be perfect at second base, I'm not there to watch every day to see if they're getting to enough balls or how the official scoring is going to be, but to not have an error between them, Curlin at second, Park at shortstop and third, that speaks volumes. That's catching the baseball, and we know that Curlin fielded it really well at Florida. We know that Park's got incredible athleticism, so you have absolutely done some things that Jay Johnson said LSU was going to do in the transfer portal. You have brought in complete hitters who use all fields, who draw walks, who get on base, who don't sell out to power, and you've brought in better defenders. You know Milam's going to be a star at shortstop. Curlin's a really good second baseman, and Park is plenty athletic to play shortstop and certainly third base, where I think he'll get his first look. So I'm encouraged by all this on Cape Cod. The only statistic you could point to and go, well, that's a little bit questionable, is Wax batting average. He's hitting just a tick over 200. But look, he's stolen some bases, he's played some good defense, and he's done a good job of getting on base. So I don't have a lot of complaints. It's a hard league to hit in, and a lot of LSU guys have gone up there and struggled to hit. I'll tell you a guy that struggled last year. Let me see if I can pull up his stats, because I tracked him for a while. I didn't write about it and didn't talk about it last year. Kade Arambidi got off to a really bad start on Cape Cod last year. And to the point where I was thinking, like, man, maybe this guy is not ready to hit. Let's see what Cade hit last year on Cape Cod. He hit 154 and slugged 173. He played 17 games and had 1 extra base hit. Like, he really struggled for Chatham on Cape Cod last year. Came back in the fall, led LSU in hitting, came back in the spring, boom, monster season as a sophomore. So, like, this is a very difficult league to hit in. And you're looking at 4 transfers that are coming in that are expected to be forces for LSU offensively. They're doing a pretty damn good job swinging the bats up there in a tough place to hit. So good stuff from Cape Cod. And then the other baseball news from today. I checked this and I was right. I was wrong yesterday. Well, I didn't know yesterday. Tonight in Sacramento, Tommy White's Major League Baseball debut. Dylan Cruz on the other side. Gage Jump on the mound. Awesome day for LSU, and Jay Johnson will be there in Sacramento tonight. So if you're a Braves fan, Astros fan, Cubs fan, Red Sox fan, Yankees fan, Cardinals fan, I think that pretty much covers all my bases around here. If you're a fan of one of those teams, maybe there's some Rangers fans that have come down from Dallas or East Texas, and you've got the MLB package like I do to watch the Cubs, pop over to the A's and the Nationals from Sacramento tonight, and you'll catch a lot of LSU flavor in that one. Jay Johnson will be in attendance. So that's a look at some baseball here on this Friday. We're brought to you by Court Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll step aside, come back and close out the hour. We got LSU football talk coming in 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, if there's a small crack in your bathtub or a small crack in your shower, it may not appear to be a big deal. It's small in size, right? But what it does is it opens your walls, your floors, your ceilings, everything to water. And water is a significant problem. If untreated, that small crack in your shower, that small crack in your tub could have water seeping everywhere. And by the time you get to it or you send someone out, you've got mold, you've got rotted wood, you've got damaged walls, you've got damaged ceilings below, you've got floors that have issues, and it can be a significant expense. If you have a small crack, contact David Duvall in One Bath and Closets. Let him come out and take a look. It's so easy to see that and go, it's not that big, whatever. I'll deal with it. No one ever sees that. Could be a big deal. David Duvall and his team do this kind of stuff all the time. Don't wait too long. If you see an imperfection in your shower, in your bathtub, go to onebathandclosets.com, get that consultation, have David out so that he can examine what exactly is going on. It's One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
I love telling y'all about But Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on Fridays. Got some incredible new items you can see on the website, corksfishandshrimp.com. They always have their huge stuffed potatoes, which come covered in crawfish etouffee with the Gulf shrimp right there on top. They've got delicious pork chops as well. You can get one for under $17. It's an incredible deal. You want to eat on the lighter side? They've got a shrimp Caesar salad as well that you can check out. You got a smothered pork chop. So it's not just the incredible Gulf shrimp platters, not just the awesome catfish platters, not just the catering. They've also got some other menu items as well, and I highly recommend get the beignet bites as you drive on through. It's a late lunch right now. You can still zip on through, and they always do great catering work as well if you're looking to feed in bulk, whether it's a birthday party, retirement party, family reunion this time of year, maybe a back-to-school celebration that's coming up here. Got a load to feed? You can do it with my friends over at Corks. Check them out at corksfishandshrimp.com there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Well, Sam Burns is back in the mix, y'all. The Shreveport boy, LSU Tiger, fired the lowest round in the history of major championship golf today. They've been playing major championship golf for a long time. He fired the lowest round ever. It's a tie, and it was actually tied today by Lucas Herbert, who posted a 62 first. But Sam Burns holed out from the bunker on the 18th hole today to shoot a 62. He moves to 5 under par. That is 3 off of Herbert's lead. Jackson Suber from Ole Miss, who was the first-round leader, finished with a 1 under today. He is 6 under. Cam Young, also at 6 under par. So those two guys, 2 shots back in the lead. But Sam Burns, just 3 shots back of the lead right now and will be in the mix. And he's good enough to win this, y'all. He's got everything that you need in your game to make this happen. And obviously, when you go out there and shoot a 62, you've got it. This is not an overly difficult golf course right now. The rough has kind of died. It just hasn't rained and it's dried out, and so it's wispy and thin, and you can get away with missing a little bit off the tee. And you got to make putts. And Sam Burns is as good a putter as there is in the world. And these greens are very, very puttable. They're not really fast. They don't have a lot of undulation. And he made 2 from off the green today, which certainly helps. He made a putt from off the green from down on a swale early in the round, and then made it from the bunker late in the round. But he's now gotten enough seasoning in major championships, in the U.S. Open, in PGAs, that he can be a factor here. And he's got that in his back pocket. Early in his career, he was just never a factor in major championship golf. He was a top 15 player in the world. He won multiple times on the PGA Tour. He was a President's Cup player that became a Ryder Cup player, but he was never a factor in major championships. Now he is, routinely, and he's got the chops to get this done. You look up above him, and you see Jackson Suber, who I don't think is a significant threat. You see Lucas Herbert, who I don't think is a significant threat. Now, you've been wrong. There have been Todd Hamiltons overseas. That happens, where a guy no one's ever heard of jumps up and takes the claret jug. But Sam Burns can win. Now, he's got some company right around that. Bryson DeChambeau is playing fantastic golf. He's bombing it all over the place and chipping it out of the rough at greens, making birdies. He's 5 under. I told you yesterday I thought he would eject. Maybe not with no wind and the fact that there's not a lot of penalty for missing off the tee. He hit one out of bounds, which gives you a lot of penalty. But Bryson may be a factor here. Unfortunately, we got to pull for him to absolutely fall off the face of the earth. But then you look beyond that, and there are some really good players. Robert McIntyre is 4 under, right behind Sam Burns. He's a great links player. Went to McNeese. Scotty Scheffler is 4 under. He's got 2 holes left to play. One of those is a par 5, so he certainly could climb up the board. You got Shane Lowry at 3 under, who is certainly a factor. Justin Thomas hanging around. Tommy Fleetwood, who was born right around the corner, is hanging around there. It appears that it's going to be a really interesting weekend there in England. I'm pulling for Sam. It's obviously a Shreveport guy. It's obviously an LSU guy. I think you never want to say inevitable, right? Because it's not inevitable. Like Lee Westwood just never got one. And Phil Mickelson never won the U.S. Open. And Arnold Palmer never won the PGA. And you're looking at guys that have been great players for a long time that never cashed in a major. And right now, you're looking, Ricky Fowler never got it done. You would have thought that was inevitable. One time he finished top 5 all 4 majors of a single calendar year. And he just never won one. And you don't want that to be Sam's fate. But the best way to win one is to knock on the door, knock on the door, knock on the door, knock on the door. And eventually, you figure you'll kick it down. And right now, Sam is in that spot. He's playing as good a golf as anybody in the world. He's got the game to get it done on a links course. He said today in a post-round interview that, like, I've never felt super comfortable on a links course. But this is a different test than the, ripping wind and driving rain and big undulations in the fairways. That's not necessarily the test at this golf course. This is a golf course that requires you to put it on the right angle and then to attack from the right angle and make putts. And Sam is really good at that. So what a cool story that would be. Of course, David Tom's kind of the flag bearer for Louisiana golf, another Shreveport guy, another LSU guy. If Sam Burns could join him, that would be a really, really, really cool story from overseas. He's done for today. Again, Sam Burns is 3 shots back. If you think Lucas Herbert is going to run off and hide, then he's in a tenuous spot. I think there's a chance Lucas Herbert does not run off and hide, and that brings Sam Burns into the mix with Cam Young, Bryson DeChambeau, Robert McIntyre, Francesco Molinari, an Open champion, Scotty Scheffler, Shane Lowry, an Open champion, like Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm. Those guys are all right there within striking distance. So it's a potentially a cool story and gives the people of Louisiana kind of something to pull for. It's a different vibe when you kind of wake up and watch the golf, and it wraps up around 2 p.m. But that's where we are right now. Hopefully Sam can get it done. He'll go late tomorrow as one of the last folks out. Right now he would be in the second to last group, I believe. No, he would have been first out. So he might be in the last group tomorrow. It's very possible. So that'd be awesome if Sam could get that done. Heck of a round today, the lowest in the history of major championship golf, a 62 for Louisiana's own. All right, that's it for hour number 1 here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Again, we're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Opened the show today talking about the 4 new additions to LSU's schedule. Tigers will play week 0 the next 2 years in front of games against Texas opponents, Houston and SMU coming to Tiger Stadium, so taking advantage of that and the extra bye. They'll also add Tulane to the schedule in 2030. My thoughts are at the top of the show. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. Preston Guy had his thoughts on that, as well as SEC Media Days. We talked to him at 1:15, and then a big LSU baseball recap at what guys are doing on Cape Cod at 1:30. So you can catch any of that wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Subscribe to the channel. We always very much appreciate that if you can. Wherever you can do that, it helps us get in front of as many people as possible. So thanks for your continued support in that way. Loaded hour number 2. It's our last hour of the week. At 2:30, basketball school, football school, baseball school, women's basketball school. I'm going to go through all 16 SEC schools and go 16 for 16. We'll see if I can do that at the bottom of hour 2. Facts and Children in 20 minutes. We're going to talk to him about the Clemson Tigers and Dabo Sweeney's ACC Media Days romp yesterday. And when we come back after Sports Center, we'll talk defensive tackle. I've got kind of strong feelings on LSU's DTs. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
GoTro's Outdoor Power, GoTrosOnline.com. That's GoTrosOnline.com. We've reached the back half of the month of July, but that doesn't mean you're too late to get on by and get incredible savings from my friends at GoTro's Outdoor Power. I was talking to Gant Gotro the other day, and in July, they've got incredible savings. 20% off MSRP for Hustler commercial mowers. 20% off MSRP for Hustler commercial mowers. Plus, 0% financing for 48 months is available. You just got to stop by. They're open 6 days a week, half a day on Saturday. So if you want to go tomorrow, got some time off work and want to get in behind the wheel of one of those zero turns, you can do it tomorrow in the morning hours. They got 2 locations, on Airline in Baton Rouge. Of course, they're in Gonzales as well. You can also check them out online at GoTrosOnline.com. They're the nation's largest Hustler dealer of the year. Biggest Hustler inventory in the state. If you want amazing deals, local company, GoTro's Outdoor Power.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Bankin. Another one of golf's majors continues in England with the second round of the 145th Open. Most of the top players already in the clubhouse, including Lucas Herbert. He is atop the leaderboard at 8 under for the tournament. He was par after round one, but shot a 62 today. Cameron Young and Jackson Suber are 2 strokes back in the lead. The first full slate of baseball since the All-Star break is underway in Boston. And right now, the Red Sox lead the Rays at the bottom of the 6-3-0 Boston, looking for its 10th win in a row. Among the matchups later this evening will be the Yankees and Dodgers in New York. Last night, the Mets beat the Phillies despite thick smoke impacting the game. ESPN's Eduardo Perez said it made for a difficult evening for both teams.
It's pretty smoky. At the beginning, you're like, okay, this is going to be not so bad. But I think, and let's give Major League Baseball and the Philadelphia Phillies and Mets credit for moving it up an hour, because you could tell it was getting worse and worse as the game was going on.
The World Cup final is set for North Jersey on Sunday. However, sources tell ESPN the game is still set to be played, but conditions in the air are expected to improve.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, we continue our ESPN Radio Rankem series with the top 5 offensive skill players heading into the 2026 season. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Last hour of the week for us before we leave on a jet plane for Tampa, Florida. SEC Football Media Days starting up on Monday. All three of our 4 shows, I should say, will be emanating from Radio Row, Digital Drive. I don't know what they're calling it these days. There are podcasts that are going from there, so it's not necessarily all radio. Whatever, we'll be there whatever they call it. We'll be there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tigers set to appear on Thursday. So very much looking forward to our trip to Tampa on Sunday afternoon and getting started with work on Monday morning. But we still got 1 hour to get through on this Friday. And we'll talk to Fax and Childress about the Clemson Tigers and their time in media yesterday at ACC kickoff. We'll do that in 15 minutes. I want to talk LSU football right now, though. And we start with the defensive side of the ball. We've gone through the entire offense in our in-depth chart series. That's all on LouisianaSports.net as well as at Hunt on LSU if you'd like to listen to it or watch. And we start with defensive tackle on the defensive side of the ball. And I started thinking as I was writing this for LouisianaSports.net, I just don't think this position has been championship caliber for LSU. So I started to look back over the draft picks. And you think about the great LSU teams of the last 25 years. And you think about 03 and that dominant defense that LSU had with Chad Lavallee and Kyle Williams in the middle of that defense just wrecking shop. And you think about the 07 team that had Glenn Dorsey right there in the middle of it. 2011 was an elite defense on an undefeated team until the national final. And you had Michael Brockers and Benny Logan. Those two guys played 17 years in the NFL between them. And you had those two guys in the middle of your defense. And I would contend, you could disagree, but I would contend that Tyler Shelvin was the most underrated player on the 2019 team. Everybody knows how good Burrow was. Everybody knows how good Chase and Jefferson and Clyde were. And we know about Stingley and Delpit and Queen and Phillips. And we know about Calevon. But Tyler Shelvin was a game wrecker in the middle of that defense that time. He was really hard to block. And I just don't think LSU has played great at defensive tackle or had names even close to that. I went back in the draft. The last 2 defensive tackles taken in the top 2 rounds out of LSU were Mason Smith in 2024 and Ego Ferguson in 2014. They were both second-round picks, and they were both 10 years apart. And I wouldn't suggest that either one of those 2 guys were great players at LSU. The last time LSU had a defensive tackle taken in the first round was Michael Brockers in 2012. It's been 14 years since you put a defensive tackle in the first round. Think about Saban's teams and the guys they kept chucking into the NFL draft from the defensive interior. Think about the guys Kirby Smart has had in there. They dominate the middle of the line of scrimmage defensively. And yeah, the game has changed a little bit, but you gotta get some guys that are top 2 NFL draft picks on the interior of your defensive front. And that's easier said than done. They're hard to find. I get it. And LSU's got to replace a lot of time on the defensive interior from last year. Bernard Gooden's gone. Jacobian Guillory's gone. Ahmad Bro's gone. Walter Mathis is gone. Like, you get Dominic McKinley back, and then you got Sean Washington didn't play a lot, and you got Brandon Brown who redshirted. So you've gone out and you've gotten a lot of new faces at defensive tackle. Stephylan Green from Clemson, Malik Blockton from Auburn. Then you go to South Alabama and get Achilles Woods as a transfer. And then you've got the freshmen, Richard Anderson and Deuce Geralds. Well, let's start with the returners, what we know. Dominic McKinley's played a lot of college football. He's played 23 games, but he's only started 2 games. He came here as a 5-star recruit. We're 2 years in, 19 tackles, 4 sacks, and a pass breakup. I mean, he's a nice player. Is he a game wrecker? Is he in the conversation with any of those guys I mentioned at the top? With Lavallee and Williams and Dorsey and Brockers and Logan? No. He's not. Pro Football Focus gave him a 69.5 against the run, 59.2 in pass rush. His overall defensive grade was a 64.1. That's about right. He's not a bad player. He's not a liability out there, and he's not dominating. I don't notice him that much out there. Sean Washington played 54 snaps last year as a 4th-year college player. I'm not counting on much there. Brandon Brown redshirted, didn't play. So you're looking at McKinley, who's 2 years in and hasn't done a lot, and a bunch of transfers. Malik Blockton is 6'3", 287. I'm going to ask some Auburn guys about him in Tampa next week. What do you think about Malik Blockton? How did he play last year? Can he help? Last year, he made 19 tackles. He had 4.5 TFLs. He made half a sack. PFF gave him a 64.5 on defense. He's okay. Made 10 starts for Auburn. Nice player. Stephylan Green played 3 years at Clemson. He redshirted his first year and then as a 3rd-year player emerged as a starter. Last year he made 6 starts, had 5 TFLs, 3 sacks. He's about 300 pounds. Good player, fine player. I don't know that Achilles Woods is the guy they brought in for immediate playing time. You've got the freshman, Deuce Geralds, who was working with the ones in spring practice, and you've got Richard Anderson, who's enormous, 6'3", 339. Top defensive line prospect in the nation, according to 24/7. Richard Anderson is a senior at Carr, 10 sacks and 22 TFLs. He was the 5A most outstanding player on the defensive side of the football. But here's my take on defensive tackle. I'm concerned. I am concerned about defensive tackle. Because I think if you're just okay at defensive tackle, that makes it hard to be a championship level team. Even in the spread offense era, even in the era of throwing the football around, even in the era of basketball on grass, even in the era of teams running up point totals with great quarterbacks that throw it all over the place, I find comfort in a guy on the defensive interior who's a freaking problem. I enjoy that. And it is very difficult for me to look at LSU's group of defensive tackles this year and go, yeah, that guy's a problem. I think if you're doing that, you're being very ambitious. Dominic McKinley hasn't been a problem for 2 years for anybody. Now, Malik Blockton, is he an all-SEC player now? Stephylan Green on a mediocre defense from Clemson last year? I am not suggesting these guys are bad players, and I'm not trying to throw cold water on this entire football season or in this segment. That's not the point. But I'm also not going to get up here and look at every position and go, God, this is incredible. This LSU's just stacked. Wait till you see these guys play. This guy's going to step up. I'm hearing great things about this guy. I could do that segment. I've got that gear. I just don't think that's a good way to do radio. When I think there's a concern, I'm going to tell you I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not concerned that LSU is going to line up against Clemson or line up against A&M or line up against Bama or whoever and just be a sieve. They're not just going to give up gash running play after gash running play. They've got grown men up there who should be able to hold the point of attack reasonably. They don't, to me, have a dominant force. Now, that said, I think Gerald's has the potential to be a star. I just don't know if I'm going to pick that in his true freshman year. Is that fair? Is that fair to say? He's got the stamp of approval of some really good defensive line talent evaluators, and his get off, his slipperiness, his ability to use his hands, his ability to be disruptive is really good. Do I trust him game in and game out, snap in and snap out in the SEC against 325-pound guards to be that consistently? That's a lot to ask. Richard Anderson has every tool you could possibly want. He's a freshman. What you're really banking on here is for McKinley, Blockton, and Green to be above average, and for Gerald's in his time, whatever that is, to use his quickness to be a little bit disruptive. But I don't find an all-SEC player in that position group. I think they have league average type players in that position group. And that concerns me a little bit as far as being a championship team. I would love to be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times. But this is a position on the field where it's difficult for me to call LSU potentially elite. It's not hard for me to do that at quarterback. It's not hard for me to do that at running back or wide receiver. It's not hard for me to do that at corner or safety. Not hard for me to do that at linebacker. There are a lot of positions on this team that I can look at and go, that could be really, really, really good. I have a hard time doing that at defensive tackle. That's just me. They're just transfers that appear to me to be kind of league average. But I've been wrong before. I hope that's the case now. We'll see. Just one guy's take, right? That's a look at LSU defensive tackle in the in-depth chart. You can read about it over at louisianasports.net. Go to the teams tab and then go down to LSU, and you can also sort the LSU sports by football, basketball, baseball. It's all right there for free at louisianasports.net. And if you'd like to see it on YouTube, wherever you find your podcasts and listen or watch, it's all there at Hunt on LSU. Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll step aside. Let's go up to Clemson, South Carolina, talk to Fax and Childress. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's hot. Hot, y'all. Got to stay hydrated. It's important all year round, but especially in these summer months. And our friends at Auctioner have got some tips for you. Look, staying hydrated is essential for your overall health, not just exercising. Your overall health, you need to stay hydrated. It plays a key role in how your body functions every single day. Proper hydration helps support your energy. It helps your focus. It helps your recovery. If you are outside for under an hour, just make sure you're drinking a cup of water every 15 minutes or so. Not chugging 3 bottles, but drink a cup of water every 15 minutes. Avoid those peak hours if at all possible. If you can get your exercise in the morning, do that. If you can do it after peak hours, try that. If you're out there longer than an hour, you need to add electrolytes and try to aim for a 2-to-1 water to electrolyte ratio and stay away from those sugary electrolyte drinks. So hot, it's going to be hot until about Halloween around here, right? So our friends at Auctioner want to keep you safe. If you're getting dehydrated, you need medical attention, find your nearest Auctioner urgent care. You can do that at auctioner.org/UC. That's auctioner.org/UC.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show, always brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Talking a lot of football here on this Friday. We're excited to get to Tampa, Florida. Next week for SEC football media days. The ACC took their turn this past week. Of course, Clemson a part of that, and they'll be inside Tiger Stadium on Labor Day weekend. Faxon Childress covers Clemson. He's up there on the Roar FM in upstate South Carolina. Good enough to join us here on this Friday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Faxon, good to catch up. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Always appreciate the opportunity to hop on and really excited for the game here in a couple of months.
We certainly are. A lot of ground to cover before we get there, and Clemson took their turn, I believe, yesterday at ACC kickoff. Dabo Swinney doing the normal car wash, the ESPN hits, and all that goes into that. Look, you cover this guy day to day, and you're aware of what the national narrative is around him. What's the local narrative around Dabo Swinney there at Clemson?
Right now, I mean, people are frustrated, to be completely candid on. I mean, a 7-6 season with the roster spend combined with the expectations, combined with the fashion of losses and the quality of losses last year is not acceptable for a program that boasts the best is the standard slogan. And I think that that's been acknowledged, by both Coach Swinney, leaders within the program, athletic director Graham Neff, and more, that last year was a failure for the Clemson Tigers. So right now, the stock is down, admittedly, and it's hard to argue that perspective from the fan base's perspective because I would be frustrated too if I were a fan and I was paying money to be a donor and got that ROI on my investment. So now it's shifted to a real, I don't want to deem it a do-or-die season for Dabo Swinney, but I think there is a very increased amount of pressure on him headed into the upcoming campaign.
Do you sense that when he talks to the media?
I don't. And I think it's unique because Dabo just doesn't really care. I see the guy daily, like you said. I'm in all the press conferences. I get to interact with him. I host our pregame show, and we get to interview him every week. And this is just who he is. He's an authentic human being, whether people like him or not. And he doesn't really care what the outside opinion is. So when he goes and he gives these gimmicky quotes, a lot of people will probably think it's corny. And I understand that to an extent, but I can fully vouch that this is just who the human being is. And he's authentic, and he's about his way and his process, and he believes in it. And it's won him a lot. So this year, he's really, as he would say, risking being raked over the coals with going with Christopher Vezina at quarterback. And I think that decision itself is putting a lot on the line for the Tigers this year.
Yeah, I was curious about quarterback, and I guess we'll just get to that now because he did mention a freshman quarterback as well. Do you anticipate any sort of competition in fall camp, or is this Christopher Vezina's team?
This is Christopher Vezina's team. And the way that Swinney has described it is pole position, right? Admittedly, I don't think the gap is as big as they had hoped or anticipated headed into the upcoming season. And I think part of that is that Tate Reynolds, the incoming freshman, is ahead of schedule, and they feel like they've hit on him. But CV's been waiting in the wings, or Christopher Vezina for those at home. We call him CV around here. He's been waiting in the wings for 3 years. He's been developing in the crock pot, as Dabo would call it. And Dabo repeatedly used a very specific word yesterday, Hunt, in the press conference, earned. CV earned the opportunity to be the starting quarterback for this program. And while fans may not see that and might not see that perspective as valid, Dabo does. And ultimately, he's the decision maker. So they elected to not go in the portal for a quarterback, which is a controversial decision. And it's going to be number 17, Christopher Vezina, out there in Baton Rouge, game one, snap one, and we'll see what happens.
Look, I'm 3 miles from LSU's campus where Will Wade is the basketball coach again, and he's employed Johnny Jones, who is a fired basketball coach around here. And Ogeron is still running around on campus as well. So there are a lot of guys that have come back to Baton Rouge and are around on campus. I look at Clemson and I see Chad Morris is back. How was that received by the Clemson faithful when he was announced as the offensive coordinator?
It's so funny because the national media and local media had the inverse reaction at first, and now it's flipped. The national media loved it, and the local media was irate at first, and now it's a little bit of the inverse with what I can pick up on, where the fan base has really started to buy into it with the more we've seen of Chad, and the national media is a little bit more skeptical now than they were a couple months ago. So I think the Clemson fan base, if there's one thing that they are actually pretty positive about, would be the defense, and then hopefully Chad Morris being able to bring something out of the quarterback position, because outside of offensive line, Tiger fans are very, very confident in every position group on the offense. But QB and O-line, as you know, Hunt, those are the two most important, arguably, and they dictate pretty much where you go as a football team.
No doubt. Faxon Childress is our guest. Facts on Sports up there in upstate South Carolina covers the Clemson Tigers, and we'll talk a couple of times between now and kickoff between LSU and Clemson in Tiger Stadium. I'm curious about the vibe within the program at Clemson, not the fan base, but within the coaches and the players. Is it us against the world? Is it business as usual? Like, how do you feel about the general vibe there? Generally, spirits are pretty high in the summer.
Yeah, they are pretty high in the summer, and it's unique. So before I was up at kickoff here in Charlotte the last 3 days, where we're just wrapping up, we had football media day on Tuesday over at the football complex, and that's kind of a annual opportunity we get to visit with all the position coaches and guys that are on support staff and the coordinators. And it's always really interesting to pick those guys' brains about, what's transpired throughout the course of the offseason. And to be honest with you, Hunt, the vibes are great because everybody is just praising Chad Morris and singing the praises of the switch and talking about the impact that the hire has made, about like the energy in the building, the demeanor, the attention to detail, the increased roles for position coaches. So it's summer. We had great vibes last summer and fell flat on our face and stunk. I'm not sure how much it matters, but definitely very, very strong vibes. And a lot of that is rallying around an experienced defense with a ton of great portal additions, and then rallying around Chad Morris, who is the $1 million man who holds a lot of cards for whether Clemson's successful or not this season.
I'm curious about this story, also the angle there at Clemson, where I've seen multiple polls that have not had Clemson ranked preseason. I've seen early Vegas lines that have had LSU at 10.5, 11.5, which is just a monster number to me. Does anyone care about that at Clemson?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's being kind of used to throw it in Sweeney's face that the standard is dropped is what the common narrative is amongst the fan base, or at least the more negative contingent of the fan base. I know internally they don't care about any of the outside talk. For me, I mean, I think it matters just from an objective standpoint. Implied probability, Vegas odds, it doesn't give you an accurate depiction of what's going to happen, but it's a better barometer for success and accuracy than pretty much anything else we have in the portal era of college football, where there's so much roster overturn and it's almost impossible to project from year to year. So I think it matters. I think it's probably not a good sign on what's to come. But then again, they made Wake Forest's win total 4.5 last year, and Jake Dickert won 9 games. So maybe Clemson can exceed those expectations like some other ACC schools did last year.
Anybody talk about LSU yesterday when Clemson made their rounds?
Yeah, that's a big time topic. I mean, it's a topic for us in the building. It's a topic for the media here at the ACC, and I think a lot of people are following the storyline of Lane Kiffin to Baton Rouge, and obviously Sam Leavitt, and an unbelievably talented quarterback he is, with a loaded roster. And then a close and competitive, ugly game last year that we came up on the other side of. And now it's the inverse, right, where we've got to go to your place and find a way to win. So I think there's a lot of excitement and buzz, but it's also the acknowledgement internally that Clemson's going to be a double-digit underdog, and you're going to have to punch up against a team that's frankly better than you if you want to win the game.
The last one here. Appreciate your time on a Friday. Stefan Green transfers over from Clemson to LSU. What can you tell us about him? I just did a whole segment on defensive tackle and how it's a bit of a concern of mine because I just don't see the dominant player that I'd like for a championship team to have. What can you tell us about the Clemson transfer up front?
I like Stefan. I always thought he was one of the more underrated players on our team. I think he's a 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think he's a darn good 2, and I think he needs an alpha next to him. But if you're talking about a guy that's, I got to look back in the last 2 years of Clemson football, and I have to pick a down-to-down player that was consistent with effort, engagement, energy, and those things have been a big problem, especially with the D lineman last year. I would put Stefan number 1. So that's what I would say to LSU fans is you're getting a hungry, hard worker that wants to go pro. You're getting a consistent down-to-down guy that's really good against the run, and he's got a little bit of untapped potential against the pass as a pass rusher as well. And I really value his profile and think he's a good player. And I think in an ideal world, he has a better player next to him to really accentuate his skill sets.
We shall certainly see. Safe travels home from ACC kickoff. We will certainly catch up during fall camp and before kickoff. Thanks, Faxon.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Thank you, Hunt.
That's Faxon Childress, host of Facts on Sports up there, upstate South Carolina, covering the Clemson Tigers. Always does an awesome job. It's interesting. Davo's going to do it his way. And when you talk to people that cover Clemson, because I had like 3 different radio stations reach out last year, and we had a lot of different conversations on this show, on their shows, and to a man, every single person that talks about Clemson who covers them says this is not Davo like saying I'll prove you wrong. This is not Davo being out of spite. They believe that Davo truly believes the way to win college football games is to do exactly what he did 10 years ago. And he's being proven wrong to this point. whether or not he can change that tide remains to be seen. But it doesn't appear, based on those guys who cover him, that this is some sort of defiant act to like burn the place down on the way out. He just thinks, I'll do it. This is the way to do it. And I think the best coaches have shown the ability to adapt. And you've got coaches on this campus at LSU that are really good at adapting. How many times has Jay Johnson talked about doing things different ways? How many times has Lane Kiffin talked about doing things different ways? Lane Kiffin begrudges the way things are in college football and excels in them. Look at Will Wade. Loves the portal. Fine with NIL. He'll go to Europe to get players if he needs to. Dabo Swinney's not willing to do that. And if it looks like it did last year, I don't think they'll put up with it any longer at Clemson, no matter if they're going to build a statue for the guy who won 2 national championships. No matter what he says at media days. It's interesting. And LSU's got the first swing at him, and it's also fascinating to hear. I didn't want to get into like personnel there, X's and O's there. That's a late August conversation with Faxon. But to hear him say that LSU is better than Clemson, that it's probably not a good sign of things to come when you see them unranked and you see the point spread where it is, and to readily admit that like they might be up against it a little bit is just not something you generally hear in July. Again, that doesn't matter, really. It doesn't matter how Faxon feels about it. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. It doesn't matter how anybody at AC Kickoff feels about it. It matters how Clemson goes out and plays. But this is a different tenor than what we heard last year. It's a different tenor. Last year, they were chasing a national championship. That didn't sound like that in that segment. Doesn't mean they're not. It just doesn't sound like it. It's a different tone. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We will come back. We're going to play a game. We'll see how smart or not so smart I am. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Online at FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com. I told you in hour number 1 about the new great deals they've got over there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. One of the ones I did not tell you about was that they're offering bonus cash on select new vehicles to firefighters, police officers, 911 dispatchers, EMT paramedics. If you are in that line of work and you want some bonus cash, they got you covered. If you're not and you're still looking for great deals, they've got them. GMC is offering employee pricing on the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali's. That's now until August 3rd. So you can get up to $8,000 off of select Denali's. Chevy's also offering 0% APR financing for 5 years on 2026 Silverado 1500s, plus no monthly payments for 90 days. That's now until August 3rd. So you got a couple of weeks, but why wait? Get on by Highway 61 in St. Francisville and check them out. You can also see the entire inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC on Highway 61 in St. Francisville and online at FabryChevrolet.com.
Eagle 98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
Another roof gone too soon.
Looks like neglect. There's no doubt about it. This is a case of poor installation.
At Pelican Roofing, we don't guess. We investigate to find the real cause of your roof's problems. Call Pelican Roofing for your free roof investigation today.
Case closed.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. Now the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinecenterla.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool.
You're listening to The Hun Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
I'm telling you about Marucci. Online at MarucciSports.com, MarucciSports.com. It is hot out there. It does rain a lot in the afternoons. If you've got a youth baseball player, youth softball player under your roof that wants to continue to get work in as the summer progresses, join the Hitter's House. Gives you key card access 24/7 to the Hitter's House. You can get in there, take some swings in the morning, lunchtime, evening, after dinner, nighttime. Go take some swings at the Hitter's House at Marucci. You can also take a tour and see where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. $1,200 a day, right here in Baton Rouge, shipped off to the best players in the world. Incredible story. So take a tour. That gives you a discount in the Hitter's House and in the Campus Tour store, where you can score some awesome stuff there, courtesy of the folks at Marucci. It's just an awesome, awesome, awesome feature that we've got here in Baton Rouge. Such an amazing success story in our town. If you're looking for something to do, curious about the story or the process by which Marucci became the official bat of Major League Baseball, go check them out. They're online at MarucciSports.com. All right, here's the deal. We're closing down the week, and I have a grand plan to look very smart. However, I could look very dumb. I can't remember who did this. Yahoo took all the Power 4 colleges and determined what quote-unquote school they are. I mean, you're a football school, you're a baseball school, you're a women's basketball school, you're a softball school, you're a soccer school, whatever. And I saw it, and I was going to go look at the SEC and see what it said. And then I thought to myself, I could just guess and see how smart I am. So, Jordan, I'm going to guess. I got them in alphabetical order, which I think they are on your screen as well.
They're alphabetical order.
I saw that for the first couple of conferences. And I did notice when I scrolled through, because the SEC's down the article, as I recall, and I didn't get there, they were all in alphabetical, and there were women's basketball. There, it wasn't just like football or basketball. The headline says football or basketball.
Yeah.
But I believe it to be just about anything. So let's see how I do on this. We start with Alabama. That's number 1, and that's easy. That's football.
Easy.
Go to Arkansas. That is hard. The most successful program they have had in the last 15 years is baseball, but I don't believe it's baseball. Football is the most important sport to them, but they got John Calipari. They've made a couple of runs. They're getting 5 stars, and they got a national championship in the rearview mirror. It's a little distant in the rearview mirror. I think Arkansas is a men's basketball school.
They are indeed a men's basketball
school. That was
school.
a close one. I didn't feel confident about that one. Now we got Auburn. Now Bruce Pearl shot some life into them, and they've stunk in football for a little bit since Gus left. But it's Auburn, man. It's Cam Newton. It's Bo Jackson. It's Jordan Hare. It's football. They're a football school.
Easy.
All right, got him. Let's go to Florida. The Gators won a national championship in baseball in basketball 2 years ago. They won one in baseball in 2017. Their softball's been damn good, but it's the Swamp. It's Spurrier. It's a football school. Florida.
Easy. Florida football school.
Georgia, give me football all day. That's easy money.
Yeah, I don't think they know any other sport.
And Kentucky's easy. That's men's basketball.
They don't know any other sport
So
either.
I'm cruising right now. We get to LSU. You know my heart. You know where it lies. It's at the box. I love it dearly. This is a football school.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a football school.
I think LSU's a little different, though. They're kind of we know it's a football school, but LSU baseball is huge.
Women's basketball is awesome.
Yeah.
Gym program's great. Yeah, it's football. It's Tiger Stadium. It's Death Valley. It's football.
Yes.
Then we get to Mississippi State.
Yep.
Look, I was in that stadium just a couple months ago. I know the women's basketball team's been good. I know football is king in the South. This is a baseball school.
Yes, Mississippi State is a baseball school.
They gave a baseball. All right, I'm still chugging
school.
along. I'm getting things done. Now it's freaking Missouri. Missouri, the correct answer is nothing. Missouri brings nothing to this league. They bring Kansas City, St. Louis, and that's it. They got terrible uniforms. They got ugly stadiums. They don't win squat. I don't like Missouri for no reason other than I just don't think they fit in. They were supposed to be a basketball school. They've been better at football since they got in here. I don't have a high confidence in this guess, but I'm going to go with Missouri is a men's basketball school.
They are indeed a men's basketball school. Yes,
right.
they are a men's
They're probably
basketball
better
school.
at football. Drinks got them going, but it's men's basketball. All right, we like that. Now, this is maybe the hardest one, and it should not be. Because Oklahoma destroys people in softball. They destroy people in gymnastics, okay? Those two programs are unbelievable. Historically incredible. It's Oklahoma, though. The pageantry, the history. It's football school.
There was going to be a football school as long as Texas is around.
Yeah, it's a football school. Okay, so we're perfect to this point. We've gotten to Ole Miss. They've never won anything in football in the last 60 years. They won a baseball championship. They were in College World Series this year. I can't think of anything else they're very good at. It's got to be football.
Yeah, it's football.
All right, we're running clean, and I feel pretty good about this one too. South Carolina. I hate to say it because this is not what you're looking for, I don't think, but that's a women's basketball school.
I mean, it's Dawn Staley. Yeah. I mean, who else? What other sport?
If you would rewind 15 years, they won back-to-back baseball national championships, but they've been terrible really since Ray Tanner quit. So it can't be that. Nice job by Spurrier. Okay, Beamer had one good year.
Yeah, that's Dawn Staley's
but it's a women's basketball school, so I'm perfect to this point. Now, in a bygone era, Pat Summitt might have had Tennessee as a women's basketball school. The Lady Vols were the talk of the town for a while there, and baseball just won a national title. Football hadn't won squat since Phil Fulmer left, but Tennessee is a football school.
Yeah, they'll be a football school.
All right, they got a great basketball program, too. They're much better at basketball than they are at football.
That was in the
but
Sweet 16.
It's a football school. Texas A&M. Volleyball just won, and baseball got to the national final. They're pretty good at baseball, though I think their coach stinks. But it's football.
We know that.
It's Texas.
Come
It's
on,
football.
Man.
I got two more. Texas, I believe, just won softball, maybe 2 years ago they won softball.
Potentially.
But nobody cares because it's football, right?
Yeah, it's Texas.
It's a football school.
Football's Texas.
And then Vanderbilt.
Now this the
Diego Pavia.
This the
He's
one.
good, heck of a player, but it's Vanderbilt. It's not football.
Okay.
Kevin Stallings did a nice job in basketball. They haven't been as good since. Nice year last year. Tim Corbin's been a dog. He's got a national championship. He's played for a couple. They got ugly uniforms. They got the Whistler. The black pinstripes is a bad look. So are the ugly green Army uniforms. It's a baseball school.
No.
Ah!
No.
That was the last one. It was the last one.
The last one.
Don't tell me football. Don't you dare
No, it's
say
not a
football.
football school either. Basketball school for Vanderbilt. Yeah, I don't
Based
know.
on what?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, so they say Tim Corbin has been one of the great college sport programs of the 21st century with Vanderbilt baseball, giving the Commodores fans a much-needed outlet amid the struggles of other sports. Now, Vanderbilt football is finding a relevance, not seeing other teams take blah, blah, blah. Let me see what they talk about basketball. Goodness, it's a whole bunch of fluff. All right, so basketball success, men's and women's, is a long-standing tradition. Memorial Gym is one of the underrated snake pits in the sport. It is now both the programs are back, and the passion has been unlocked again. So,
Wait a second.
Yes.
Wikipedia is going to tell me how often Vanderbilt basketball has been any good.
So they're back. Women's, men and women's.
They have not won the Southeastern Conference since 1993. They have.
Hey, they back.
Give me. Have they ever even? Give me some Final Fours, postseason, NCAA tournament results.
I can't even tell you a player in the NBA that's come from Vanderbilt. Like, I can't even tell you a pro they put into the league.
They just had the kid that got hurt as a freshman, Darius Garland. Who,
he
never played.
Yeah, he barely played for them. Yeah.
That's the NIT. They haven't been to a Sweet 16 since 2007.
Wow.
They have not been to an Elite 8 since 1965. I demand a recount. Tim Corbin takes up residence in Omaha, and I'm dealing with a team that has never been to the Final Four.
They said they're back.
This is trash, Yahoo. I was 15 out of 15, and Yahoo screws me out of the deal on Vanderbilt basketball.
Yeah.
This is an outrage. I demand a recount. I want to know who put this together. I was going to feel really good going into the weekend with a 16 out of 16.
I'm a little surprised now when you actually dove at the stats about Vanderbilt basketball that they made it seem like the men and women's team are like, oh, Vanderbilt is finna take over the Southeastern Conference.
Man.
Just to find out, you said 94 since the last time they won the SEC?
Yes.
That's crazy. I was 6. They're not back. Yeah, they're not back. They lied.
This is an outrage. Yeah. I do kind of want to go to Memorial Gym. Kind of.
It's a snake pit.
And I thought there was a chance they were going to throw football at me just based on Diego Pavia 2 years, which would have really irritated me because Vanderbilt's been the punchline of power conference football for like 50 years. But they didn't do that. They just screwed up and went with basketball where they're not very good. So that's it. 15 out of 16. How do we feel about that? I'm crestfallen.
I think you was rolling. I honestly thought the Missouri one was going to trip you up. So when I told you before in the break, I was like, I can see maybe 2 or 3 of them. Vanderbilt was one of them.
They pride themselves on basketball, and I do know this to be true. They've never been to the Final Four, and they think of themselves as like Kansas's rival.
Yeah. And they're not even close.
They've never been to the Final Four. Kansas like prints them.
But it's like I don't even think of basketball when I think of Missouri. So
they don't add anything but ugly uniforms, a long plane ride, and mediocrity is what Missouri offers the Southeastern Conference.
And maybe a snow game every year. Maybe get a little snow game.
No, thank you. Drew Lock, also a sneaky answer to like a lot of SEC passing trivia questions.
Oh, he's up there?
He threw for a bajillion yards. I mean, like second in league history or something.
Really? Yeah. Drew Lock is up there.
It's like Aaron Murray, and then who just passed him? I'm drawing a blank. But Drew Lock was like, he may be like first. He's first or second all time in passing yards.
Wow.
All right, let's come back and finish up the week with some Take It or Leave It.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you, my friends at First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com, FABT.com. That's First American Bank and Trust. But you don't need to go to the website. Just go to First American Bank and Trust. There's 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. So no matter where you are, there's one near you. You might be up I-12, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa. Maybe you're down the bayou, St. James, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne. Maybe you're right here outside Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, Jones Creek. You might be in Metairie. No matter where you are, there's a First American Bank and Trust near you. If you need a commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. If you need a personal loan, First American Bank and Trust. Every decision that is made at First American Bank and Trust is made locally. When you pick up the phone and call First American Bank and Trust, you're not transferred out to San Francisco. You're not sent to Chicago. You get South Louisiana. That matters. Bank locally with First American Bank and Trust. They've been at it for 116 years. First American Bank and Trust.
Raising Cane's is honoring Chuck Norris on National Chicken Finger Day. For every box combo sold on July 27th, Cane's is donating $1 to Chuck's Foundation, Kickstart Kids.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
People think it's all about game day. Let's go! But the real work happens in the off season.
Spring practices, early lifts,
Extra reps. And we need a healthcare team that works as hard as we do.
At FMOL Health, our lay of the lake, we take care of LSU football year-round.
So we can do what we do best.
We trust the lake.
From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
If your office is experiencing performance
performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Brees Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Brees Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view official rules and eligibility requirements. Because stronger homes build stronger communities.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. We are honored and humbled to receive from our clients in Google, based on 5-star client reviews, the designation of our law firm is highly recommended. Whether you hire us at all, please give us a call, 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact.
You're listening to The Hun Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, closing up here. I want to remind you one more time about my friends at Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Delicious, crispy, clean catfish. Jumbo Gulf shrimp. That recipe born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. Want a po' boy? Not a better one in the city than that shrimp po' boy over there at Corks. Fully dressed on that soft, fluffy bread. Delicious Jumbo Gulf shrimp. It's awesome. And I got to tell y'all always about their catering options. If you got a party coming up, got a big gathering coming up, and want to feed a crew, get those trays of the catfish, shrimp, shoestring fries, honey butter rolls. It is always a hit over at Corks. They're happy to help you with catering. Just give them a little notice, and they will make it work for you. If you're looking for something to eat this weekend, Corks, right there, government between Foster and Jefferson. The entire menu's right there online at corksfishandshrimp.com. I'm fired up for next week, really am. I've been looking forward to this for a while. Looks like our setup's going to be really good there in Tampa, and it's just a fun week in the middle of a slow time of the year in our business. That doesn't mean that we don't have anything to talk about. We've got plenty to talk about. We had the MLB draft. We've got football coming. There's a local golf story today. There's recruiting. There's a transfer portal in baseball. There's basketball trying to fill out a roster. There's plenty of stuff going on, and the Saints are really close to reporting. But this is just a fun week for us, and hopefully y'all enjoy it as much as we do with the content we're able to provide. We'll have Hester and Flynn every single morning, 7 to 10 from Radio Row down there. They'll be sure to rope in some great guests. Rivers will be running those down for us. I'll be on 1 to 3 every day doing the same. Matt, 3 to 6. And so we'll be providing you with 8 hours of coverage every single day from Radio Row at SEC Media Days. LSU, again, as a reminder, doesn't go until Thursday. They're usually first right out of the gate. So it's different this time around, but they will come Thursday. We'll still have a ton to talk about, and a lot of folks that we'll catch up with we hadn't seen for a year. So very much looking forward to it, and that will start on Monday with Off the Bench in the morning. So tune in all week long, Monday to Thursday, for SEC Football Media Days. I believe that's the incorrect term at this point. I'll get clarification on that. I think we're going with SEC Kickoff. That'll take some getting used to. I like Media Days, but maybe it's just Kickoff. So we'll get to that flying out on Sunday, and very much looking forward to it. Hope you will as well. One more order of business today, though. That's Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Adam Silver says the NBA's next schedule is on hold until LeBron James makes his decision. And I quote, "We have to finish up the schedule, and where LeBron plays affects the schedule. Opening week, Christmas, so I need him to make a decision." LeBron James being 42 years old, still controlling the NBA. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving it. I mean, I get it, but like you got other stars, you got other teams.
And he's 40.
And yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand. I just don't have to agree. Just make the schedule. It's going to be fine. Put the Thunder out there. Put the Celtics out there.
You know what teams you want to play.
Yeah,
you know.
It's fine. It's going to be fine.
All right, so SMU's head coach Rhett Lashley at ACC Media Day had this to say about having 3 offensive coordinators and 2 defensive coordinators. He says, I'm not good at making decisions. So starting the season off with 3 offensive coordinators and 2 defensive coordinators. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. Now, the question is, and you're not going to know the answer, and I don't really care, but like, is it 3 offensive coordinators in addition to Rhett Lashley, or is he one of the offensive coordinators as a head coach? Because he was Gus Malzahn's offensive coordinator at Auburn. So if he's like the 4th offensive coordinator,
it just sounds like there's way too many chefs in the kitchen.
It's
way too many.
It's whatever. But the point, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with, and you're talking about 6 guys. Just make a call. And if the point is just to get guys pay raises, I guess whatever. That's kind of what titles do these days. But that seems like it's a little bit unnecessary.
You know, have you ever heard of that though? Having 3 offensive coordinators?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've never heard of that.
I have no idea how that's going to work in any type of way. So I'm going to be watching SMU a little closely to start the season off. I got to see how this plays out. So I know you already know about this one, but the 2027 MLB All-Star Game will be held at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. Scheduled for July 13, 2027. The first time it's back since 1990 in historical Wrigley Field. But will there be an All-Star Game in 2027? Take it or leave it.
I will take it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
I just don't think there's any way they're going to start on time. I think they're going to get delayed a month and a half, 2 months.
Okay.
Eventually someone will buckle, and I don't know who it's going to be, but they will not start on time, and that's heartbreaking. But I am looking forward to an All-Star Game at Wrigley.
I was about to say that. Are you looking forward to the All-Star Game back at
absolutely. That'll be an incredible scene in Wrigleyville. I won't be there to see it, but it'll be an incredible scene for that area of that town and that historic stadium. It'll be really, really cool. So that's awesome.
And then my last thing would have to be, as a casual baseball watcher from afar, how can a historical field like Wrigley Field not have the All-Star Game since 1990?
Because every time somebody builds a new ballpark, they give them the All-Star Game.
1990?
And they needed the Cubs to put some money into Wrigley. Like it was a dump before the Ricketts took over in like 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And they've redone a lot. They spent a lot of money on the Cubs locker room, a lot of money on the visiting locker room, a lot of money on the infrastructure of the bleachers. They completely redid those in 2016. So they had to spend some cash to get that thing up to standard. It always had the charm. It always had the history. It always had that. But you gotta put some infrastructure into it, and they've really done that. It's one of the nicest interior ballparks now in the sport for the players, that is.
So what I'm hearing is the same problems that the Bears are having, the Cubs had it with trying to get a new stadium and renovations.
No, the Cubs aren't going anywhere. But they had to pump a bunch of money into Wrigley the Wrigley's not going anywhere. They've now rebuilt it, and like there's too much charm, too much history, too much of the identity of the Cubs in that ballpark and in that stadium. Soldier Field was just on the lakefront. Like, just it's a great spot for Chicago. It's hard to get in and out of, but it's scenic. But this is in the fabric of Wrigleyville, the neighborhood. It's a different world.
Ain't going nowhere. So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Marsman watched Rookie of the Year last night for the first time, which we introduced him to Wrigley Field. He's seen the Cubs play on TV when I'm watching before, but I hammered home Wrigley Field, home of the Cubs, watching that. Got some beef with the some of the baseball aspects of Rookie of the Year. In the game that win the division, they tell Chet Steadman that he's starting like 10 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
That's probably not how that would go.
Yeah,
probably not a deal where
that.
it's like, oh yeah, Chet's pitching tonight. Probably something you might have decided maybe a day or two in
advance. Let it warm up a little bit, let's sleep on it.
And we're about to go out there. It's like, hey guys, Chet's got the ball. It's like, oh, that's building a little drama, no problem.
Keep on the toes.
It's also a little bit ridiculous that a kid, broke his arm and then threw 103 miles an hour, which was the premise of the movie. But a great film. Myers loved it, and the Cubs won, so I like that too. That's it for us. We're done for the week. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt on LSU for all your LSU coverage. Hunt on Saints for all your Saints coverage. Matt's going to drive you home next one after further review. Next time you hear from me, we'll be in Tampa, Florida for SEC Football Media Days. Have a good weekend.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. SwingEasyGCBR.com is that website. It's the weekend. Do you have a tee time? Yes? Great. Go play. If you don't have one, but you'd like to play some golf, I got your option. Maybe you want to play golf, but you don't have 5 hours and don't really like it when it's 105 degrees outside. Swing Easy is your option. You can go in your private bay. You can play Pebble Beach. You can play Cypress Point. You can play where they give that green jacket away. And you can do it in an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe you want to go this evening, make a Friday night out of it. Bring your friends. Go into a private bay, sit in that comfortable seating, grab a couple of beers. You can watch TV, listen to some tunes, and play golf on the simulator. It's just a lot of fun. It's also a really useful tool to work on your game. If you want a spot to hit some golf balls, you can do it at Swing Easy. They're on Segan at Perkins, the Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Online at swingeasygcbr.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Brees Dream